Good morning, everyone, or afternoon now, I guess, and welcome to the New Growth Women's Business Center's webinar for the month of January. It's on the entrepreneurial mindset, and my name is Lakin Coleman. I'm the Business Development Coordinator for the New Growth Women's Business Center, and this is Tiffany Frost.
Hello, and I am the New Growth Women's Business Center Director, and we're going to provide you with some information, like Lakin said, over an entrepreneurial mindset. And what does that mean? And there's 8 basic domains that Kyle Garman decided is part of being an entrepreneur. And we're going to talk about each one of those domains and whether you feel like you already have that domain or if you need to learn more about that domain. So we're going to get started and see what we can do. Okay, so what kind of mindset do people need to thrive in the future of work? There's a lot of talk about where our future is taking us and the future of work in America, and especially in rural areas like we're in, we're looking at that entrepreneurial part of the future and how to keep that going and how to grow rural areas. So what does that mean? You have to have the entrepreneurial mindset. So there are 8 domains of this mindset, and we're going to go through each one of them. So the first one is future orientation. Then you have to have some creativity and some innovation. You got to have a certain comfort level with risk taking. Working on communication and collaboration, whether that means within your company or business, with your clients outside of that, customers, service providers, all of that. Being able to be flexible and adaptable to changes and situations that come about in your day-to-day work. The ability to critically think about things in your small business and problems and how to solve them efficiently and effectively. Having the initiative and self-reliance to continue to move forward even when things are not going well. And opportunity recognition, knowing where your next opportunity is coming from. So we're going to discuss a little bit more about each one of these areas, these domains, and what these mean. So when we're looking at future orientation, this is an optimistic disposition with a focus on obtaining skills and knowledge required to transition into a career. So even if you don't already have that focus or skill or knowledge, this is an area that you can work on moving towards. And the way to do that is you have a high level of curiosity. You're curious about this certain product, or you're curious about this job, or you're curious about how would this look if I did it on a smaller scale. So you're curious about all of those things and you want to move towards seeing that. So this requires you to kind of have that lifelong learner view. So you're always learning something. And this doesn't have to be like professional learning, like degrees or certifications. This can just be the fact that you're interested in what's going on and you want to learn more about it. So an example would be, I feel like I'm really good at, doing hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to research that. And how do you work on that? And do you have to have certification? Can you do this at home? You might do tutorials, things like that. You're learning about all the changes and what it would take. So you constantly are learning things. With the media level the way it is, I mean, these are at the tips of our fingers. So being able to learn different things about the area of business you're in is very at our fingertips right now. A positive outlook, no matter the obstacles. You always have to see the positive in whatever's happening. So in being a small business owner or whatever, if something happens, you have to be like, okay, this happened, but here's the positive to it. So now I can move forward. You have to have that learn it all attitude and not the know it all attitude. So an example of this future orientation would be Amazon. Amazon's a good example of that. This started as an online bookstore. If you guys remember, I don't know how many of you guys have done research on Amazon, but it started as an online bookstore. But the CEO had a vision, and he started constructing business and a business plan to expand on how this could look as an internet enterprise. So what else can you sell? What else can we put on there? Just throwing that around, doing that research. So through his research and his learning and looking at other things, looking at other ways people are doing that, he read reports, he learned about the growth of internet business. He made lists of products that, could be sold. He took a very focused approach to learning all of these things. He narrowed it down to 5 products and moved it towards the internet enterprise. So through this continued education of markets growth, now we have the next big thing of Amazon, and it's leading in sales. So he took this online internet version of just a bookstore online and took it into this empire that is now all over the place. Everybody knows the Amazon boxes you see with the smile and the arrow. I know I have some at my house. So just learning that future, knowing where you're going, starting something and moving forward. Next, it takes some creativity and innovation. And this is the ability to think of ideas and create solutions to problems without clearly defined structures. So this is just that where you sit down and, a lot of small businesses come from napkins when you're sitting at a table and you're like, oh, I think I can do this. This would be a good business. Or if you're sitting at home and you see something, you just write it down on a piece of paper real quick, or you put a note in your phone. You're thinking, you're creating, and these are just ideas. You're throwing these ideas down. And then you go from taking that thought or idea, and then you turn it into reality. So taking that piece of paper, or taking that note, or taking that napkin and saying, I think I can, own a restaurant. Okay, well, that's your idea. Then you go into the steps of putting it into reality. Skills in question thinking, listening, and synthesizing information. Asking those questions like, what do we need to do this? How does this need to work? Go around asking restaurant owners, what was pros and cons to this? Where was your struggles? Getting to know that. So just asking questions to get answers. This also goes back to the future orientation where you are researching. Asking questions is also a form of research, but listening to the answers and then really coming up with the information that they're telling you and how you can make it look different or use that information. Take an idea and make it into a tangible value for the customer. So you have this idea. So how do you make it tangible for the customer base you're looking for? So just being able to be creative and innovative in all of those different ways. This is the hardest skill, this creativity and innovation. If you can foster this skill, or if you have this skill, work on this skill, it is going to be the hardest skill to be replaced by machines. And I know in society now, there's a lot of that, assembly line stuff where machines are doing the work. People are being replaced by machines. But if you're creative and innovative, that cannot be replaced by a robot. So knowing and having those skills make you robot proof is what they call it now. And so that is something for the future to look forward to, being robot proof. So being able to be creative and innovative helps with that. Comfort with risk. So the capacity to move forward with a decision despite inevitable uncertainty and challenges. I will be honest, this is the hardest one for me. I'm not a big risk taker, but it is something I can learn. So if I'm looking at these 8 domains, this would be the domain that I know I'm not good at. So I would have to really work on it and work on that skill. But if you're comfortable with risk, you can be very out there and be able to make something from nothing. So being very discerned about risk taking. You got to be comfortable with it and know, again, whatever is going to happen is going to happen, but you know the risk involved in it. Access risk and reward trade-offs. So what is going to be the reward to this risk? So if you take this risk, what are you going to get in return? The future of work is this high level of uncertainty, complexity, all of that. But due to advancing technology, current risk factors like COVID and climate change is adding more uncertainty and unpredictability. We've seen a lot of businesses have to be very, very comfortable with risk taking by shifting due to shutdowns and COVID and how to redo things. So they've had to be comfortable taking a risk of maybe putting their business solely online where it was just a storefront, or, being able to open as a storefront, the risk involved in that. But what is going to be the trade-off for that? So some of the biggest risks you're going to face when you're looking at a small business is financial. Obviously, putting all your money out there, getting money, taking the risk of either getting a loan or putting infusing your money into it, and how is that going to be returned to you? Strategic risk, meaning what are you going to do next? If you're a lifelong learner, this comes in here, doing your research, planning the next stages. Reputation, that's a big one, especially in small rural Missouri where we're at. Reputation's everything. A small business's reputation is the single most important asset. Social media has made this easier, but it's also made it harder. People can go in and make very good recommendations for businesses, but they can also make really harsh comments. So knowing there's a positive and a negative risk to social media, and how you're going to work with that. Liability. In a small business, you do not have to have, or you do have to have resources to pay for damages, but you have the risk of your cash flow. So if something happens, that's going to affect your cash flow. So what is the risk in that? Looking at that, using your professionals, having a good legal person on your team that you work with, and a good insurance person to help you identify those risks and how that's going to affect your cash flow if something happens. So just knowing that that's out there, but how are you going to cover that? How are you going to work on that? The more you educate yourself on the risk of that, the more comfortable you're going to feel. Business interruption. You never know when something's going to happen and interrupt your business. That could be COVID. Obviously, that's interrupted a lot of businesses. It could be a natural disaster, flood, hurricane, tornado, fire. There's been lots of fires lately. So all of that could be an interruption to your business. That can happen at any time. And you have to be able to know that you have to be comfortable with that risk that could happen, because you never know if it is or not. And then again, another risk, and especially right now, is your cybersecurity, your security online. If you have clients and personal information, how secure is your computer systems? What risk do you pose out there to be hacked? Those are risk you have to plan for. But again, all of these risks, if you have a good plan in place, the comfort with that risk is going to be better. You're going to have a better comfort with taking on those risks if you've thought through those and you have high confidence and you have a lot of research and you have a good, solid business plan that helps you discern all of those risks that you could face. Communication. We all know that communication and collaboration is super important. This is the ability to clearly express ideas to an intended audience, including persuading others to work towards a common goal. So whether it's you're bringing a small business into your community and you are presenting it and wanting to collaborate with your local community on what is the goal of your business, what do you bring to the table to this community with your business, you're persuading them that this is important to the community and what an asset you can be to them. But being able to express those ideas very clearly and specifically to where there's not a lot of room for interpretation. With effective communication, you have to be able to state it clearly enough that the interpretation has less of an ability to be skewed. And so when that happens, you have to have clear objectives, speak proficiently in public and on the phone, and have all of those communication skills, inspire others to action. You got to lead diverse groups. You have to know the diversity in your area that you're putting your small business and being able to lead and empower and work with those. Have cultural awareness of what's going on around your business. Knowing your social intelligence and your interactions with people. You can work with a different type of collaborations, whether it's in-person meetings, video conferences, attending local events, all of that. But the more you can communicate specifically and thoroughly and communicate your goals, your business is going to thrive. On the flip side of that, mobile devices have caused this domain to become increasingly harder for the younger generation. This is because the communication is all through media and typing and DMs and Twitters and all of that. And they lack that social interaction when you're physically talking to that person. COVID has also played a part currently in that, having to be quarantined and being away from people. So again, that social interaction between people is also what helps us become robot proof, because DMs, Twitters, emails, all of that are words, but you can't see how that interaction is clearly being articulated in person. So communication and interacting with other people effectively is so crucial. It also goes back to your reputation. It goes back to your creativity. It goes back to what you want to do in the future. So that is a key domain to having that entrepreneurial mindset. And how are you going to communicate that to make your business grow?
Flexibility and adaptability, which is the ability and willingness to change actions and plans to overcome present and future challenges. Some big ones, COVID-19, which was the pandemic of pandemics for business and business changes. We saw restaurants having to shut down, hair salons having to shut down, retail had to make major changes, which I know Tiffany touched on that, and the in-person contact for networking shifts. So if your sole business was ran face-to-face, your mom and pop store, you are focused on the customer, you talk to the customer across the counter, that may have changed, and you may have had to start leaving things outside for the customer to pick up, or maybe you're delivering and dropping off on their porch, and so you don't get the interaction you were getting before. So that's, I mean, the ability to flex and adapt to your surroundings and to COVID and to all the changes in your business. I'm going to quote the book. Darwin is well known for theorizing that it is neither the strongest nor the most intelligent that survive in the natural world, but rather the most adaptable to change. Think about like your chameleons. They change colors. That's what we're doing in business. We're changing the colors of business. We're changing the way we do business. Critical thinking and problem solving. The capacity to apply higher level process-oriented thinking, consider an issue from a range of possible perspectives, and use that reasoning to make decisions. These people think on their feet, they can assess problems, and they develop well thought out solutions. They use a holistic thought process, and even technology can't do that. So that's how your critical thinkers are not going to be replaced by the robots. And these are your people who are like in management, your people who always have a solution to offer. They're thinking about the good of the company, but they're also thinking about making the consumer happy. These people will always know the right answer, the right thing to do. I know you can probably think of people in your life that they are quick. They are there to make the decisions. They're there to make people happy. And that is your critical thinkers and your problem solvers. Initiative and self-resilience. That is the power to take ownership of a project without input or guidance and work through obstacles independently. We quoted New York Times here. This is a really big one, and it's going to hit on some key points that I'm going to talk about. And not necessarily my generation, but there is a generation that had it easy. They got to find jobs, but more than ever, our kids will have to invent a job. Sure, the lucky ones will find their first job, but given the pace of change today, even they will have to reinvent, re-engineer, and reimagine that a job much more often than their parents if they want to advance in it. So they are having to get jobs, and they are having to take it to the next level. They are having to fight for different spots in companies. They don't get to just sit in one spot with a skill that they have. With the way everything is changing in the world, technology changes, you are having to make your moves based on where you're going to fit in next. The young people that change careers every 2 to 3 years, there is proof that they're betterment, and they are preparing themselves to be robot proof because they have already made the steps. They are adapting. They have multiple skill sets, and they're easily learning new skill sets. They're constantly keeping up where they are, but they're seeking new and better opportunities, and that's a force to be reckoned with. Opportunity recognition, the practices of seeing and experiencing problems as opportunities to create solutions. These individuals see new approaches and market niches that are often overlooked. They align missions to positively impact stakeholders. And so challenges that impact all aspects of our future, such as pandemics like COVID-19, climate change, poverty, strategic development goals, it is essential that we seize the opportunity to move in a more inclusive form of capitalism. And so you need to see your target and set your missions accordingly with purpose for the audience that you want. And so you need to see opportunity, not options. Being an entrepreneur is a mindset. You have to see all things as opportunities all the time.
So this is what we have for you. Again, here's mine and Lakin's information. You can contact us at tfrost@newgrowthmo.org or lcoleman@newgrowthmissouri.org. And most of the information that we talked about today was from the Entrepreneurial Mindset book by Kyle Garmond. This is a very good read. It's a very good read for anybody interested in becoming an entrepreneur. Here at the Women's Business Center, we can help you with all of these 8 domains. I challenge you to think about where you fit in these. If you're thinking about starting a new business, expanding a business you already have, pivoting your business. If you've had some struggles, missed opportunities through this challenging time in the last couple of years, call us, get a hold of us. We can help you maneuver through all of these different mindsets and helping you with that creativity, helping you with those risks and how do we work through that process. So I just challenge you today to think about where you want to go. Do you have ideas? Is there something that you've been doing and you're thinking, I really, really, really want to do this. I want to start this. I want to invent something. I know this is something that my community can do. Give us a call. We can help you work through that process. We can get you the connections you need. Just think about these 8 domains, and I'm going to go over them again. Your future orientation, thinking about where you're going, creativity and innovation. At some point, we've all got that creative mindset somewhere back in our brains. You know, think about when you were little and how fun it was to create things and make things and mold things. Children are great at this. Comfort with risk. That's going to be a hard one. You never know what's going to happen. So you have to be comfortable stepping over and making that risk step. Communicate and collaborate. Get out there, talk to people, find out what's going on, find out what your community wants, find out what it needs. Do some research. There's lots of stuff on many different websites that can give you information about your local community. Talk to your city councils and those people. They know what's going on. Communicate with them. Make sure you're flexible and adaptable. I think we've all had to really learn that in the last couple of years. So I know I'm doing way better at it. Critical thinking and problem solving. What's going to happen? Let's think about this and let's find a way to solve it. And again, we can help you with that. If that's not maybe your strong point and you need help with that, we can help you with that. We can look through a problem. We can help you maneuver through that. Taking initiative. Just take the initiative to look for things and talk to people. And make sure that you're looking at those opportunities. If an opportunity comes up, look for it. Look and see, can I do this? Is this something I can do? Do I know somebody that can do it? Can I encourage them? So make sure and just look for those things and be aware. I just want to appreciate your time today, being with us. We will be sending you a recording of this so you can go over it again. It's got all of our contact information on it. So if you have any questions or any ideas, we would love to hear it, love to hear from you. So just contact us at New Growth Women's Business Center. We'd like to thank you for your time.